is hereby resumed. Good morning. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. Before we begin, may I ask the Committee Secretary to kindly acknowledge the presence of our guests for the record. You may proceed, ma'am.
Good morning. We would like to acknowledge the presence of Ms. Emeline de la Cruz, Coordinator of the National Dairy, Ms. Leslie Sandoval, Budget Officer of the National Dairy Authority, Director Joseph B. Anakay, of the Commission on Audit Cluster 6, Ms. Rebecca Ragsag, Supervising Auditor of the Philippine Institute for Development Studies, Dr. Adoracion Navarro of the Philippine Institute for Development Studies, Ms. Grace Senas, Administrator, National Dairy Authority, Attorney Christian Castillo, General Counsel of the GOCC, Commissioner Angela Ignacio, Governance Commission for GOCC, Director Delia Agatep, Corporate Government Sector, COA, Ms. Divina Telan, Supervising Auditor of the National Dairy Authority, Director Rufina Lakindanum, Cluster 3 of the Commission on Audit, Ms. Marlene Balason, Audit Team Leader of the National Electrification Administration, Ms. Sonia San Diego, Deputy Administrator of the National Electrification Administration, Ms. Henrietta Maramot of the National NEA, Dr. Napoleon K. Juanillo of the Commission on Higher Education. Thank you.
Magandang umaga po at maraming salamat sa pagdalo niyo sa pagdinig. Hindi ko po gaanong aaksaya ng panahon ninyo bago magtanghalian, titiyakin gusto niyo tapos na ho tayo. And even way before that. Let me begin in accordance with the appearance of the resolutions and Senate bills and begin taking them up one by one. Let's start with Senate Bill number 2257. I would like to acknowledge the position papers submitted by PowerPoint, PMDC, GCG, and DOLE. Is there anyone else who would like to submit a position paper on this Senate bill, namely 2257? Wala na. Who will speak? Angel or Attorney Castillo? Anyone?
Good morning.
I read your, actually without discussing it, I read your position paper. Question, how will it negatively impinge the functions of the GCG? I mean, the legal position you have taken notwithstanding, how would it affect your functionaries, your functions rather?
Mr. Chairman, the Governance Commission at the moment, we handle all the, we have recommended a CPCS to the President as provided for by RA 10149. So we have conducted a study which makes the salaries for the GOCC sector comparable to the private sector. So that has been submitted to the President. And when approved, that is supposed to provide a unitary and uniform compensation and position classification system for all GOCCs, whether chartered or non-chartered. So with the amendment, we will be unable to implement that, and so the existing practice now of non-chartered GOCCs exercise implementing salaries that are not really monitored by the government, not closely monitored by the government, will persist again. So we were hoping to have a CPCS that's uniform for everybody, for all GOCCs.
All GOCCs, meaning even those under PCGG supervision?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, those that are, as long as they're GOCCs. We have a memorandum of agreement with the PCGG, so we, they while they look at it, they also strive to follow the regulations of the Commission.
With emphasis on the word try, are they covered? Meaning, is the non-distinction between GOCCs with or without original charter applicable to all PCGG sequestered companies with or without original charter as well? My point, Angel Attorney, is okay lang sa akin. Actually, I will tend to agree with you and desist from pursuing this measure for as long as it applies equally to PCGG supervised companies as well, without distinction. Meaning whether it's with charter, without charter, I don't care. Whether it's managed or supervised by PCGG, I don't care too, as long as the same rules will apply to them as well. And they will not simply try to
Yes.
comply with your guidelines.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, once approved by the President, it will apply even to PCGG companies.
It will apply even to all PCGG sequestered companies.
If they are GOCCs, yes.
If they are GOCCs, of course.
Yes, sir.
Sequestered companies.
Yes.
GOCCs. Yung privately owned na sinequester, what would be the classification of that? It's under PCGG, but paano yan?
Sir,
Attorney?
I think until the issue of ownership is settled po.
But in the meantime, while it is sequestered, what rules will govern? PCGGs? I
Yes,
mean, technically, it's the ownership is under question before the courts. So, okay lang, naintindihan ko yan. But in the meantime, it's controlled, operated by the PCGG. So, what rules would govern? Once ownership is determined, it will be owned by the state, right? But under sequestration, it's under the PCGG. So, what rules will govern?
we haven't looked that up, Mr. Chair. But until such time, we really cannot po say for the moment.
I completely
Sir, di ba yung IBC 13 case? Consider silang.
same. A case in point would be, thank you, the IBC 13 situation. It is a sequestered company. It is considered as by the GCG as under the GCG, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we've already included that
Yes.
formally in our list as a
But
GOCC.
that's a sequestered company too.
But I think
may
that
decision na ba yan?
Yes, meron na po. And in fact, there was, I believe, an executive order already assigning that company under the supervision of the PCOO.
Of the PCOO.
Yes.
Yes, kaya nagkontrata na sila with, sino? Sino yung kakontrata ng IBC? Sobre Peña? Anyway, kindly look into it. I have no objections to having a unitary system. I was not aware of the proposal you had pending before the Office of the President, but kindly look into that too. Companies that are sequestered by the PCGG whose ownership is still under question, in the meantime, what rules will govern? Because at the end of the day, if you presume that we will win that case, it will ultimately fall under, or it should fall under, the jurisdiction of the GCG. But in the meantime, paano yun? And yung in the meantime, pwedeng ganun, it's been, by next year, it'll be 30 years from EDSA 1. So may mga kumpanyang sequestered pa rin ng PCGG hanggang ngayon eh. So what rules would govern these companies while under sequestration? Thank you very much, ma'am. Chair hereby directs that Senate Bill number 2257 be reset to another hearing, and in the meantime, held in abeyance, pending the approval by the Office of the President of the, what do you call it again, Angel?
The CPCS, Mr. Chairman.
Which stands for?
Compensation and Position Classification System.
Pending the approval of the CPCS submitted by the GCG to the Office of the President. So ordered. Thank you, Angel. Thank you, Attorney Castillo. Wala na kayong kailangan sa amin, di ba? Meron mo ba? Wala na? Hindi naman sa inyo under yung pag-uusapan namin, di ba? Under ba sa inyo NDA, PIDS?
And NDA, Mr. Chairman, is under us. But
Sit for a
not
while.
PID.
This will take about 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Join us for a while. That disposes of Senate Bill number 2257, proceeding now to PSR number 896 and PSR 988. Pareho naman to, di ba? Chair hereby orders that these PSRs be consolidated and taken as one. May we hear from the COA first? Para yung kinlear nyo na po, Director Agatep, ma'am, hindi na namin pag-usapan pa. Senator Miriam filed a resolution to look into this DAP releases to certain government entities and institutions, claiming that these have not been liquidated nor returned to the Treasury. May we get an update? I saw your report, ma'am, actually. But for the record, can you can you mention kung ano na lang po yung pending, if at all, coming from and emanating from your report that Senator Miriam used as basis in her resolution? Who can answer from COA, ma'am? Yes, Director. Can you switch on your mic, ma'am?
I'm Director Rufina Lacindano of the
Lacindano.
Cluster 3 Corporate Government
Yes, ma'am.
Sector.
Good morning.
In our position paper submitted, we made some clarifications. One of them is that in the ABS-CBN news report, the data were not accurately picked up. What was mentioned in the report is that the amount of 3.787 billion for 4 GOCCs were unused by the 4 GOCCs. In the annual financial report for GOCCs submitted by the Commission on Audit on page 365, it is much better if you have a copy, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Yes. The first four figures there, for NDA, 167 million, NEA, 1,580,000, PFDA, 98 million, and PIDS, 560 million, pertains to our common audit observation on the first column, which says that that objective of accelerating government spending was not attained due to delay, slow, or non-release of funds.
So first, the total.
That is the total funds received by these 4 agencies.
On the total, it's not 3.787,
Yes, because what the
but rather 2.405.
Yes, but this pertains to the funds received by the 4 GOCCs. We are not describing it as unused.
Okay. Ma'am, just a point. In Senator Miriam's resolution, she makes mention of 167,440,000 supposedly going to NDA. In your position paper, you only made mention of 167. Are you rounding it off? There's no .44?
There is point 44.
There is a .44.
Okay. Yes, there's point 44. That is the actual funds received by NDA from Bureau of Treasury. And that's not what we are describing as unused.
Okay, ma'am.
So for NDA, the total funds received is 167. NEA is 1.580 billion. That is the total funds received by NEA. And the total unutilized as of December 2013 is 34 million only. And this was returned by NEA in October 2014.
So, isa-isa po, wala nang problema ang NEA based on COA findings?
Yes.
Wala na silang liability insofar
No,
as this doc
there are
release is
still unliquidated funds which are released to 102 electric cooperatives. So
this is the same fund, ma'am?
Yes, the same fund.
DAP fund?
Yes, because the purpose of the DAP is to fund the electrification program of the whole country. Therefore, they release to 102 electric cooperatives about 1.545 billion pesos.
So this fund has been utilized but not yet liquidated?
Yes, sir.
When will be the proper time for these funds to be liquidated? Gaano katagal po usually?
The NEA may answer that.
Who can answer? Ms. Balazon, ma'am? Sorry, Ms. San Diego?
Sonia San Diego po from NEA.
Yes, ma'am?
We are targeting to liquidate the remaining 639 million by the end of 2015, Your Honor.
Can you submit to us the liquidation that you have currently?
Yes, Your Honor.
Kung ano yung meron na at kung ano yung wala pa? Just to complete our report so that we can close the books on this.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Go ahead, ma'am. Ms. Lakindanum. Use your mic, ma'am, please.
For PFDA, the amount received is 98 million.
Mm-hmm.
And the 98 million in 2013 and in 2014 is 177 million. And as of January 2015, they have PFDA has already returned the all unutilized amount amounting to 189 million point 858 to the Bureau of Treasury. So what is remaining to be done is the ano ba to?
So magkano po yung nagamit nila, ma'am?
Ang nagamit nila is so far is 71
Ma'am, parang hindi tumutugma.
85 million point something. Okay.
Do you have that in your position paper, ma'am? Yung 85 point something na binabanggit nyo? Is it 85 point something or 84.7?
We will make some ano ba to?
Kindly submit it to us, ma'am.
Corrections in the we
So,
will submit
Insofar as PFDA is concerned, yung hindi nila nagamit, nabalik na.
Opo.
Yung ginamit nila, na-liquidate na po, hindi pa.
please Director Agate may answer.
Ma'am?
As of today, sir, the amount utilized by the LGUs in 2013 were already liquidated. But as of for the year 2014, there was a total of 57 million plus obligated, but some are still ongoing.
So out of 85, 57 was for 2014,
80,
and the balance was utilized in 2014? Tama ba? 28 million in 2013?
27.227,
Yeah, roughly.
sir. Yeah. Plus 57 something in 2014.
Kindly
But-
submit to us the liquidation for 2013,
Yes, sir.
ma'am. Kung ongoing pa yung projects in 2014,
Yes, sir.
it will be liquidated by end of the year?
We hope.
We
The
have a
PIDS may
representative from
answer that.
PFD, right?
The PIDS.
Miss, sorry ma'am, I cannot read your name.
Attorney Dataan,
Attorney Dataan,
Mr.
yes ma'am.
Chairman.
By end of the year?
Mr. Chairman, some of the funds were transferred to the local government units.
I know.
And it will depend on them whether or how fast they can remit the documents for liquidation to the COA. But those projects that we implemented, we can provide the COA with the vouchers and all the documents.
And the
for
committee as
liquidation.
well, please, even just the list
Yes,
and the
Mr.
amounts for each LGU and the project description or designation per LGU.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as a matter of fact, we have submitted yesterday afternoon our position paper on the matter.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Next, ma'am. Ano gusto yung sunod? PIDS? Please, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Yes, hello, sir.
Well, the 296.809 million unliquidated funds refer to the release of PIDs to CHED.
Wait, this is 296 of the 560.
Yes, Madam.
Okay.
This refers to the amount released by CHED, released by PIDs to CHED, which in turn released the money to SUCs. Now, as of February 28, 2015, the unliquidated amount is 216.54 million. So there is a decrease of about 80 million in the unliquidated release.
This is for what purpose, sir? Scholarships, studies,
Research
grants?
development, and extension projects.
What does that mean?
Researches projects which were the funds of which were given by CHED to the different SUCs.
Dr. Juanillo, sir, exactly what does that mean?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
The research, development, and extension projects is essentially given to the state universities and colleges. These are the top research SUCs on specific projects pertaining to food production and security, marine biodiversity and conservation, some pertaining to climate change and disaster preparedness, others on health systems, and others on education. And so these are the essential research platforms that we believe would drive up innovation for the country.
Undertaken by professors.
Undertaken
in
by
those respective
institutions, and some of them work together. In other words, some SUCs work in tandem with other SUCs. And so, the way it was initially conceptualized by CHED, it's not just a matter of entitling them to the grants, to the monies, but for them to first come up with proposals, and these proposals were vetted by a group of scientists and technical panelists identified by the Commission Higher Education. And so the idea really is that this would propel the research culture in the country. And I think that was how, because I'm relatively new at CHED, that was how the Commission conceptualized or formatted the whole release of the grants.
Usually, sir, how long is the gestation period for such a project?
Yeah, this is the problem really with research. As you very well know, science is not like as if, a product comes out of it after a year. And so I think the gestation period that was essentially envisioned was 2 to 3 years. And the problem is that they don't release the funds right away. In other words, we have to have some of the deliverables and the reports before the funds are released. And sad to say that, some of the state universities and colleges, including the University of the Philippines, have purchased reagents, chemical reagents for their laboratories. And when I think the ruling was set, then we just told them to just stop. Stop paying their research associates or research assistants, including the stop payment for the purchase of all of those chemical reagents. And so it's a little bit of, as a scientist myself, it's a little bit of a sad story, but then again, laws are laws. That's just the way it is. But having said that, we have been following it up with our SUCs to expedite the liquidation of those so-called grants. Yeah.
Sir, Dr. Anakay, what are your rules regarding this? Gaano katagal po meron silang panahon para mag-liquidate? Please use your mic, sir.
Usually, pagkatapos po ng projects, yung depende po sa klase ng projects.
Paano po pag 10 taon na hindi pa tapos?
Well,
How long will you wait? When will you call it quits? When will you say, na to? Tama na to? And is it your call or their call?
Their call po.
So until they haven't called it quits, you'll just keep on waiting?
Usually po, ang ginagawa nito, bago magkaroon ng additional release, hinihingi mo na liquidation ng prior release.
Hinihingi mo na yung liquidation ng prior
Release.
Sir, that's how it works?
Yes, Your Honor, that's exactly what the process is all about.
And that's the problem?
Yeah. And that's the problem. In other words, we don't really release any additional tranches until they are cleared of the first deliverables or the releases.
Why is it difficult to liquidate the first release?
That's a question that kind of befuddles us as well at the Commission Higher Education, and we've been asking our SUCs to well, the other thing about liquidation is that even if it were just about our grants, for instance, but because there are other programs that are being funded by CHED, like faculty development programs, if those programs are not also liquidated because they're just seen as one lump entity, like SUC entity, so any unliquidated funds for those programs, even if they're unrelated to research and development, that kind of stops us from releasing any further. I think that's a kind of a COA rule. We don't release until everything is really cleared up. So it's not just a matter of the R&D releases. It's also the liquidation of the other.
So how long will CHED wait?
Well, to begin with, we can't wait for too long. I think when the proposals were made, Your Honor, they were within a specific timeline, and I think 3 years is long enough. But then again, we were stopped along the way, and so we believe that it could have been, in the ideal scenario is that after 3 years, the projects would have been over. And that if they were also rather, circumspect and expeditious about their liquidations, then we could have just released the next tranches.
So ito pong 296 which was released in what year?
Your Honor, I'm waiting for my team, and they're but we do have the report, and we're going to be submitting it as well in tandem with the PIDS.
My point is, what's the policy of CHED? So kung sabi niya 3 years, if this was released in 2013, then you have to call it quits by 2016. Meaning to say, tama na yun, tigil na, balik na yung, correct me if I'm wrong, sir.
Yeah.
Balik na yung pera sa Treasury.
That's right. That's what, it's just any other ordinary project proposal. It's a 3-year project, research project. After that, whatever is unspent has to be given back to the Treasury. Can you submit? Yeah.
Oh, sir, yung 2012 pala, sir, yung release eh.
Opo.
By this year, dapat.
That's right.
Can you give us a list kung
saan sang SUCS at ano yung mga researches o sino yung grantees ng research fund na to?
Yes.
And when they were each granted,
Yes,
the amounts,
in fact,
when it started?
Yes.
So you will be able to track it?
Yes. We
and be able
have
to
the
compile?
report, actually. Yes, thank you.
Sir, what about, Director Anakay, what about the balance of 264? Sabi nyo, 296 of the 560 went to CHED. What about the 264?
Actually, Mr. Chair, there are still unutilized funds with CHED.
No, 296 yung napunta sa CHED. Di ba?
Yes, sir.
Magkano po yung unutilized out of the 296?
No,
Or on top of the 296?
On top of 296.
So, 296 yung napunta sa CHED, yung study grants and researches. What else went to CHED?
There is an unutilized DAP funds with CHED amounting to 194.2 million.
194 unutilized. This is for what purpose supposedly?
For their own projects.
Anong projects po?
Research projects also.
Ganun pa ulit?
Yes, you know.
Dr. Juanilio? May 190 pa daw? 190, sir?
194.2.
194.
Your Honor, may I also, with all due respect, may I also ask the help of my predecessor, Dr.
Please.
Jean Tayag,
No, of
to
course,
help me
please.
out.
Please. Ma'am, kindly situate yourself.
Yeah.
Ma'am, baka masira po yan. Dito na lang sa mas matibay-tibay. Yes, ma'am. We're talking about the 194 now.
Actually, Mr. Chair, may I enter some corrections? The actual amount released to CHED was 503,999,000. And of this amount, we were able to release 332,711,000 to the SUCS. And that represents about 70%. The first tranche releases to the SUCS. And there is a remaining 46 million of unreleased second tranche.
Kasama po ng 332 o hindi po? On top of?
Yun, out of the 503,999,000, 332 yung first tranche na na-release.
Apo.
Na na-transfer na sa SUCS. May obligated pa na 46,740,000 for the second tranche of the research project.
Paano po yung balancing 120 plus million?
120.
From the 503 million. Ma'am, 503 million kamo yung for SUCS.
Yeah.
332 kamo yung na-release.
Yes,
May
so,
hindi pa na-release na 40
na
plus.
46
May balance pa po
million.
mga 120.
Yung 120, part of it was used for monitoring the research, and then nagsoli ng unprogrammed funds sa PIDS na 5 million. Actually, the balance that is still with CHED is 111,858,000.
Rewind tayo, ma'am. Director Anakay, you confirm the amounts?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
So, yung binigay sa PIDS, 503,999 or 504 went to CHED.
Yes,
The balance was retained by PIDS,
56 million.
Yes, Your Honor.
which is how much?
56 million.
56
56.
million.
So, of that amount that went to CHED na 503.999, I'll just summarize, ma'am. Ilan yung unutilized?
46, yung unreleased tranche, 46,740,000.
You were mentioning of a bigger amount, 111 na unutilized,
111, the balance that is still with CHED,
which
Yes.
includes the 46.
which includes the 46. Yes,
So, ito nga yung unutilized.
unutilized.
What do you intend to do with it, ma'am?
We were hoping that the 30% tranche could still be released to the SOOCs for their R&D so that
But
they
if
could
they're not
continue.
liquidating, ma'am, and if it's been since, if it's nearly 3 years,
Half of them have already liquidated and half promised to liquidate. And actually,
gano'ng katagal na, ma'am, yung promise?
the releases and the contracts were actually staggered. They were not all released in 2012.
I know. That's why we were asking for the details.
Yeah. So, and some of the research projects are actually with two years duration, some with 1 year duration. So, yun na-release noong 2013, talagang kung 2 years siya, 2015 dapat matapos.
So, pasok pa.
So, ongoing pa siya. Hindi pa siya talaga aging unliquidated funds.
So-
yung na-release noong 2012, yun yung medyo mag-age na. And they are the ones who were already issued demand letters by our editor, by our accountant.
If they don't submit a final output, do you ask for the return of what was given to them?
Actually, the demand letter says so, that they have to release, that they have to return the unutilized amounts. But
Not
this
the
time,
unutilized amounts, ma'am. What they utilized.
what they utilized,
They signed the contract to come up with an output.
yes, Your Honor.
They were supposed to be paid in tranches after they liquidate the first tranche, so on and so forth. Now, if they did not comply with their obligation under the contract, meaning wala silang output, walang research na binigay, shouldn't they return what was even paid to them initially, even if they used it because they did not perform their end of the bargain?
That's not the term of the contract, Your Honor. Actually, we released the second tranche upon submission of all the deliverables promised to be produced out of the first tranche. So they get the 30% once they submit all the deliverables promised for the 70%. And there is no requirement for a liquidation. Kaya nga nahirapan manghingi ng liquidation ngayon because the contract says the liquidation is after they finish the 100% and they complete the research project.
Ano pong silbi ng deliverable nila kung it's only a portion of what the final output should be?
Actually, the
Can you give me
70%,
an example of a deliverable?
yeah, Mr. Chair. Actually, yung 70% could enable them to almost complete the research. Ang naiiwan usually would be the writing, the filing of the applications for patents, and some of the honoraria of the project leaders, yung 30%.
So
But the
what's the-
70% is supposed to be sufficient to do most of the substantive work for the research. So, for example, yung isang research project was supposed to produce a hazard donation map for climate change so that they would know which areas are at risk or which areas need some mitigation strategies. And for the 70%, the hazard zonation maps would be almost complete, and then the remainder would be for implementation or dissemination of the proposed mitigation strategies. They'd have a draft report already. And some of them have completed those 70% and submitted the progress reports.
Why is the first deliverable after 70%?
Yes, before they release the next tranche. The first
70% agad?
70% has already been released, yes.
Ang una?
Yes.
Ang
Your
unang
Honor.
deliverable, ma'am, is 70%?
After they complete the research activities for the 70%.
Okay. Kindly submit to us that list, ma'am, as I requested from Dr. Juanilio.
Yes, Mr. Chair, and I'm happy to note and to report that out of this 70% released to the SOOCs, about 17 have already published in internationally indexed journals, and there are about 2 or 3 patent applications for some of the research outputs.
Nice to hear, ma'am, and I'm glad you're happy. Director Anaco, what about the balance of 56? Ma'am, thank you very much. You can still join us, ma'am, if you want.
Well, Mr. Chair.
The balance of 56 million,
As
right?
of December 31, 2013, the balance is only 19.236 million
Unutilized or unliquidated?
unutilized.
Okay.
As of February 28, 2015, the balance is only 14.585 million.
How much, sir? Sorry.
14.585 million.
Unutilized.
Yes.
Where's the representative of PIDS? Yes, ma'am. Dr. Navarro, what do you intend to do with it?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Senator, we
Yes, ma'am.
received a memorandum from the NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan, and that all notices of awards be suspended. So we are still waiting for instructions on whether this will be returned immediately to the Treasury or whether it will be used for another purpose.
Ano
But
po ang date
these
ng
are
letter?
intact. The memorandum.
What's the date?
It was July 18, the memorandum to us.
Last year?
So, yes, sir.
May I know the reason
Because of the Supreme Court decision
on that?
on that.
Wala pang traffic kung anong gagawin, given the decision?
We're still waiting for instructions. But anyway, the amount of 14,584,162.89, it's intact.
I'm not, no allegations, ma'am, that it's
yeah.
not. I'm
And
just
the
stating the
interest-
utilization.
yeah.
Question, sir. Director Nakay, you've read the Supreme Court decision, or the COA has reviewed the Supreme Court decision on the AP? Right? It basically says that any funds already utilized, correct? Dapat ituloy na, tapusin na. Yung hindi pa nagagamit, hindi na po. So, is there an order from COA to remit these funds back to the Treasury? These unutilized funds,
We will not yet, sir, because we will be is part of the audit of 2014 transactions, and will be issuing an observation to the effect that this has remained unutilized, and therefore it must be returned to the Treasury.
Wala pa pong ganong order.
Wala po.
When
I would like to make some clarification. For some agencies, the supervising auditors or the audit team leaders have already issued audit observations requiring them to remit the unused to the Bureau of Treasury. In fact, NEA is one.
wala pa po bang COA guideline coming from the Commission itself para uniform yung ruling ng mga auditors?
I don't think we have received instructions.
Wala pa?
Wala pa.
At least pare-pareho, hindi yung may naiiwan sa NEA, may ganon sa...
But there is an instruction to all the audit team leaders to issue the necessary audit observations for the unreturned amount.
Director Agatep, yes ma'am?
I'm glad to note, Mr. Chair, that
Puro kayo masasaya ngayong araw na to.
NDA, the auditors of NDA has already issued the AOM regarding the refund of the unutilized amount, and we are happy to note that I think they have already refunded as of yesterday.
We'll go to NDA, ma'am. We'll go to NDA. But can you relate to the COA, the Commission proper, if there is a resolution forthcoming to make it uniform, applicable na po sa lahat, hindi yung kada auditor na lang gagawa ng observation in light of the Supreme Court decision, because it's final, I believe, and executory already. Yes, ma'am? The mic, ma'am.
There is an ongoing consolidation of all the audit findings pertaining to DAP as well as the status of the DAP utilization. So based on that, I think the Commission proper will issue the necessary instructions.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now going to NDA, the last agency in the list. As you were saying, Director Aguilar. Yes, ma'am. Of the 167 million.
Yeah. As of 2013, the amount released was 167.440 million. And then of that amount, the 145.694 was obligated. And out of the amount obligated as of 2013, only 87 million was disbursed, representing 59.7% of the amount obligated.
59% has been liquidated.
Yes, sir. Because, sir, may I correct?
Please, ma'am.
It is NDA who implemented the project, so there's no need for liquidation.
Okay.
The amount of 87 was actually disbursed by NDA.
So magkano yung balancing na iwan, ma'am? Roughly 20...
20... How much?
21
for the funds released as of 2013.
So 21 yung unutilized? Ito yung binalik nilang sinasabi nyo kapon?
Part of that, sir, because in 2014, there was additional release of 45.676.
So magkano lang, Ms. Senyas? Did I pronounce it correctly, ma'am? Senyas, sorry.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor.
Morning, ma'am.
The 167.44 million, Your Honor, was added with 45.676 in 2014.
That din to, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. So we had a total of 213,116. Now, we were able to obligate 141 million. So the unobligated portion of 71,803 was returned to the Treasury, Your Honor.
So walang unutilized, unobligated balance coming from that remaining with NDA?
We still have a remaining amount which are obligated. So we still have to pay.
Yung unobligated nga,
None.
unobligated, unutilized, wala na po?
Wala na po.
Na DAP?
Yes.
This money went to the purchase of what, ma'am?
The money went to the purchase of milk packs, Your Honor. And then the milk packs were delivered to the schools, the target schools, and there were also some communities and preschools.
So gatas itong binili nito?
Gatas, oo.
Hindi baka?
Ay, hindi po. We were able to...
This is fresh milk, right? No.
Fresh milk, mostly. We also have fresh milk blend.
Kindly submit to us, ma'am, the utilization, kung saan inobligate?
Opo.
Para lang makompleto namin yung report namin.
Yes.
For the information of Senator Santiago.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Kompleto na ba?
Thank you.
Lahat na yun, ma'am? No? NEA, PIDS, NDA, and PFDA? Correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have already covered.
Question, ma'am. Question, ma'am. It's the subject matter of another resolution, which we will refer to the appropriate committee, but I would like to ask that question nevertheless. Bonuses granted to certain corporations or even agencies na galing sa DAP. What's the position of either the GCG insofar as corporations are concerned and the COA on that? Paano pag natanggap na ng empleyado, papabalik nyo?
So far, we have not encountered any utilization for bonuses, allowances out of the DAP.
Are you aware of any, Angel?
No, Mr. Chairman. In fact, any payouts for performance-based bonuses or incentives, we stipulate there clearly that it should be provided for by the COB.
Assuming it falls within your criteria.
Falls within...
Your criteria ng bonuses. Pasok doon, pero yung funds sinor sa DAP.
No, Mr. Chairman, we always say that it should the fund should be sourced from their COBs.
Not from NGA.
No.
Not from NG.
Not from...
Anyway, we'll refer it to another committee which might have a better grasp of the issues. Senate Resolution number 896 and 988 having been consolidated, Chair hereby directs the Secretary to kindly prepare the committee report on the same, given the inputs given and submitted to us by our resource persons. A question for PIDS. Yes, hello ma'am. Yung 100 million for the purchase of building, binalik sa inyo? Have you obligated that?
It was returned to us by the National Housing Authority. Yeah, and it will also be returned after we've received an order from the COA.
So nasa inyo rin yun?
Yes, sir.
That's in addition to the 14 million? That's in addition to the 14 million. Ordered consolidated, and the Secretary is directed to prepare the corresponding committee report, taking into consideration the submissions that will be made by the CHED as well as by the NDA and the PIDS. So ordered. Insofar as Senate Bill number 2342 is concerned, Chair directs that the corresponding committee report be drafted and submitted for the signature of the members. Insofar as Senate Resolution number 718 is concerned, same order, for the same to be routed and distributed to the members for their signature and or ratification. In regard to Senate Resolution number 1018, Chair hereby directs that the same be returned to the Committee on Rules and for the same to be referred to the committee, to the Blue Ribbon Committee rather, as the subject matter of the same properly falls under the jurisdiction of the Blue Ribbon Committee. Same order with respect to Senate Resolution number 1038 to be referred to the Committee on Government, Corporations, and Public Enterprises, as this falls under the jurisdiction of the aforementioned committee. So ordered. There being no other item in the agenda, thank you gentlemen and ladies for joining us this morning. As promised, hindi tayo nagtagal at hindi tayo magtatagal. At sana magpatuloy na maging maligaya ang umaga ninyong lahat. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga. Hearing is suspended.
which it is not entitled to collect in the first place. If so, MIA's collection of IPSC without distinguishing between exempted and non-exempted persons and MIA's custody and use of unreimbursed IPSC payments collected from exempted persons are public interest concerns, as these are alleged to be illegal, arbitrary, and essentially confiscatory. Iyan ang nililinaw at binabantayan natin. At sabi kasi sa paragraph 29, Section 8 of the Memorandum Circular, the MIA shall refund the IPSC to those exempted to pay it upon presentation of the required documents mentioned therein. Meron na bang na-reimburse? Kung wala pa, saan mapupunta ang mga pera na yan? Another thing that I would like to point out is that MIA is not the sole or only policy-making body with regards to the operations of the different airport terminals. What about the airport terminals in Clark and other provinces, for instance? As a government instrumentality, MIA is obliged to follow and implement the laws of the land. Given the repercussions and impacts of MIA's action, there is therefore a need to look at how the airport and the terminal are being managed and how the funds are being used to upgrade the airport and the terminal based on international standard. Hihingi natin ang report ni Mr. Honrado, MIA General